Hello, can you hear me now? Great. Do you need me to stay here? I never stand behind a lectern because I'm so small. I'm not used to it. How's that? I've moved it. Has it ruined it? Oops. Okay, hello, hi, you can see me. It's not the biggest lectern in the world. And you can see and hear me. I can see you out the corner of my eye, so just wave if it's wrong. Hello. How are you all? Feeling refreshed? Speed lunch. And back to it. My name is Vicky Inam Mohieddeen. As Lucy said, I'm a drama therapist and a creative wellbeing practitioner, I call myself. The term has changed over the last 20 years that I've been doing generally all manner of community arts, as we used to call it, and creative engagement. I do not work in clinical practice as a therapist, so I've had some interesting conversation snatches already with people about where therapy meets community engagement. For me, the Venn diagram is a circle for me. And I would love to speak more on that with everyone here, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to dash off after this, but I am going to leave some cards on the table next to the manifesto. And if anybody would like to continue the conversation in any way, I love talking about this stuff. So that's who I am. So today I'm going to be telling you about a project that I actually did in Dumfries. I should mention I'm based in the Borders, which although is technically close, is so far away. And I did this project in D&G when I was based in Glasgow, because I honestly don't think it would have ever happened laterally. So this project, Eternal Connections, was in collaboration with Historic Environment Scotland, who manage Carlaverock Castle, which some of you might know. And at the time I was working with an organisation called Amina, who are based in Glasgow, but they work nationally with Muslim women and any woman in Scotland who identifies as BME, BAME, whichever of the alphabet soup you like. And the reason we were approached to do this project is because they were specifically wanting to gauge Muslim communities, which is quite rare to be so specific, but you'll find out why. How does this work? Perfect. Okay, so our story begins in the 1990s. 3 pieces of glass were found in the grounds of Carlaverock Castle, in the grounds of the old castle. So if you've been, you'll know that there's an outline of stones where the old castle was, and then it was rebuilt into what stands today. So in the grounds of the old castle, they found some pieces of glass, which they dated to the 12th century, so about 900 years old. And on the glass, this is an image of the glass, which is on a little board at Carlaverock Castle. These patterns are Arabic text. And these hands are hands of women that I worked with on this project. And in this image, they are pointing at this and saying, "This is upside down." So I don't know when this was made. I'm sure it's still there. But a lot of the work that I did when I worked for Amina as a sort of creative projects person was going, I was there 2020 onwards, and suddenly everyone was like, "Brown people, we need some in our project. Can we have some of your women?" And one of the reasons why consultation, at least, if not full engagement with all sorts of different groups is welcome, is to avoid putting things upside down. If this was in English, they wouldn't be upside down, or Greek, or Latin. So we got involved in this project, and the basic aim was, look, we've got some funding to do some more scientific work that I don't fully understand on identifying the material that this is made out of, what kind of glass, when, or whatever. And part of the stipulation was community engagement. So they worked on one project with in Edinburgh, there's a Muslim Scouts group, so they did that. And then we were just asked, is there anyone who would like to do this project? Now, I'm from the Borders originally, and my dad's family are from Lebanon in the Middle East, and so I was like, oh my God, there were some sort of connection between the Middle East and Scotland 900 years ago. If I'd known that growing up here, that would be cool, and it really sparked my imagination. So I was like, okay, we'll do something. So we ended up working with the Kurdish Women's Community Group, who are a community-led organisation in Glasgow that meet once a week on a Saturday in a community centre in Glasgow, and we worked with 10 women altogether on the project. And the first thing we did was we went to the site. We went to Carlaverock Castle to where the glass was found. And we spoke about the glass. I told them basically what I've just told you. We were like, somehow, no one knows how or when, a piece of glass from around about where you're from came here to around about where you are now. So a lot of these women are currently in the asylum process. Most of them, if not all, didn't choose to come here. It wasn't like in their plans, but they found themselves in the UK, in Scotland. So talking about these pieces of glass, about which so little is known, really started sparking some conversation. This project was for anyone who works in these sort of organisations where it's like, you can have a little bit of money if you do this project with this other organisation. You're like, okay, we'll do something because we can use some of that for core. And it ends up being not exactly necessarily the most thought out plan at the beginning, but we'll do something. And Historic Environment Scotland just wanted some engagement with communities that they didn't traditionally have a lot of engagement with. So we were very open about what we would do. First thing we did was we went to Carlaverock Castle, which was hilarious because if you ever do a bus trip with Kurdish people, you just like sing the entire time, or they sing and you go, I can barely speak Arabic and I definitely can't speak Kurdish Sorani, but let's go. The next time we went through to Stirling, to the engine shed, which is Historic Environment Scotland's sort of flagship base. And they had an opportunity to meet some of the scientists and archaeologists who were working on the project, a 3D artist who's created a 3D model of what they think the vessel that these fragments came from might have looked like, which coincidentally is being exhibited in Kirkcudbright this maybe May. I'm not sure, but if you'll find it. So it was during this session, the conversation that came. I was just watching and they were asking questions and, they were saying things that made me suddenly go, oh my goodness, like this is actually opening up some really quite sensitive issues. So these are notes that I made on that day where I was just like watching what was happening. And there was history, unknowing, uncertainty, family, ancestors, past, future, hope, identity, place, and home. And all of these things, when you're working with this specific group, are like, am I opening a Pandora's box here that I'm not going to be able to shut again? I have 8 weeks with these women, and so we'd planned to do a 3D imaging workshop and a photography workshop and all these things, and I just got in touch with Historic Environment Scotland and said, I really think we need to pump the brakes because we have to be a little bit more careful here about what is coming out. And they were really cool about it because, again, they were just like, do what you need to do what you feel is right. And so what we ended up doing was a lot of creative workshops with just me and them in a room. This was our group. This was the trust that we had. This was the containment that was really important to us. It wasn't about making anything or learning anything. It was just about engagement, and this is where the engagement led. They saw things in these pieces of glass that would never have occurred to me, because often you're like, well, you're of Arab heritage and you're of Arab heritage, so that'll be fine, but I've never had to flee war. I've not had to live through family separation, so I don't see these things immediately. And I don't think you have to see these things immediately. I don't think, this is something else I would love to have a really long conversation about, but I don't think lived experience necessarily is like absolutely the linchpin in terms of delivering projects. But I think what is, and is so rare and unusual, is space, time to think, awareness of what people are going through, listening to the people you're working with, and helping that navigate where you want to get with the project. And this is what we were able to do with this project, which is extremely unusual, I'm aware. So I don't even know where I'm playing. There we go. So we ended up taking bits of stone and twigs from Carlaverock Castle, and my idea was at the end of the project we would leave them in Queen's Park, and these natural objects would be representative of the overall artifacts of this project, and it would be this beautiful thing. But of course, nobody wanted to let go of them. And we had an amazing conversation about what we didn't want to let go of. And there was a huge question throughout this whole project about where specifically this is from. The Kurdish community are very, there's a real specificity to the fact that people who are from or identify as being Kurdish are actually from lots of different countries, different, what we think of as separate countries. Iran, we had some people from Turkey, all different countries, different languages, and this question of, but where exactly is this glass from? And the scientists couldn't tell them. So all of this uncertainty and unknowing, and it's really important that I hold on to something. And what ended up being the thing that they held on to were these enormous pieces of stone that we basically, not, I want to be clear, not from the castle, but like literally the woodlands, a pebble, a stick. So we got some extra funding when I spoke about this project to the Arts and Humanities Research Council, who had funded the scientific equipment, to talk about creative and cultural engagement and why it was so much more important than just something you add on to your funding. All these scientists in a room like screaming out for their survival, and it's like, well, why is it important that we know anything about the past? Like, this is why it's important. So then this is one of the stones that we took, and we ended up getting money to do further work on this project, which was basically really going into what these objects meant, why they were important, and how we could creatively explore some of the really difficult things that the women were living with. We did the drawing part of some of our exercises were really hard because, as many of you will know, when you work with people, it's like, I want it to look a certain way, it has to look good, I'm not a good drawer, I'm not good at art. We worked through a lot of that stuff in being really clear that this was about the process of creativity, not the product of a creative thing. So it doesn't matter what it looks like, it doesn't matter if it exists at the end of it, we can just throw it in the bin. We're doing something just now, we're not making something, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, this was one of the amazing pieces that came out of it. And I'm just going to read a couple of the letters that we did. We did, imagine if the glass was writing to you, what would the glass say? Hello, I'm a glass fragment that you visited the other day. To be honest, I don't know where I'm from. As a child, I was separated from my family and country. But from the markings on my body, I imagine I'm Arab. I'm in Glasgow now. On one hand, I'm happy that scientists are trying to find my origins. On the other hand, they may never succeed. I have a feeling that pieces of my body are buried. Perhaps if they are found, it can be the beginning of finding me. Please talk about me wherever you go. Maybe that will help. This is a separate one. I am glass. I am delicate. I am the identity, history, and culture of a country. Although I am broken, I am still valuable enough to be an important question for all of the world. I don't know what fate took me there, but I know how valuable I am. I was able to travel while my kind may be destroyed, or they may now be placed in a country's cupboard at no cost. But I've become a broken question for all of them. This reminds me that the broken ones are not for throwing away. They can be made more of an attraction for everyone. So this is really a flavour, a taste of this project that I did with these amazing women. We were able to honour like the really complex situations that these women find themselves in because we were given enough money, really, to pay me, to have me build into that time to like think about what I was doing, and to be able to change plans as well, but also because I was given a huge amount of trust from the organisations that I collaborated with. We didn't have these really fixed outcomes, and it was sort of a joke at the beginning that it was just like, just engage with this community, but actually, yeah, just engage with this community and let that then help us dictate what we do next. So every Saturday at the moment, 88 Kurdish women and 137 children meet in this community centre. And I have, in my capacity as a creative therapist, worked with the group every so often. I don't live in Glasgow anymore, so it's it's few and far between, but it's also really challenging. We just didn't get funding to do another project with them. And I can't work with 88 women in a room, no one can. And so we did an amazing intervention with 10 women, but there's still so many more, and I know this is a challenge for everyone who does this work, but yeah, these are the things that I'm left with at the end of this project. So yes, that's everything that I think I wanted to share with you all. Thank you so much. As I said, I'd really love to talk more about this, and I'm sorry that I'm going to have to dash off, but thank you for having me here today. Cheers. Thank you.